I want you to imagine two envelopes, same position being advertised, same selection panel, same day, two CVs are pulled from the pile. Now, the first CV, it has a name at the top, of course, the name of the applicant, and the university that they attended, the degree that they obtained, the date of graduation, and then almost nothing else. A blank space where a career story should be, but they've left it blank. Now, you look at the second CV, same degree, same university, same graduation date, but underneath that, a volunteer role at a community health outreach. Now, a research assistantship is also captured, a short course in public health completed online. A paper that has been co-authored with a supervisor is also captured. A leadership position in a student medical association. A certificate in medical writing. Now, both of these graduates are pre-interns. Both of them are pre-interns. Neither of them has started internship yet. Neither of them has years of professional experience, but one of them has used the pre-internship period to build something, and the other has not. Now, which CV do you think gets the call? According to your assessment, you can let me know in the comment section. Now, here's the thing. Most pre-interns, they hand in a CV that looks like the first one. Not because they have nothing to offer, but because nobody ever taught them what belongs on a medical CV at this stage. Nobody told them what counts. Nobody told them what doesn't count. How to frame what they've done and how to make 12 months of a gap year look like the professional foundation it actually can be. Nobody took time to hold their hands and point them to the right direction. And that is exactly what we are facing today in this episode. Now, welcome back to After Campus series, and this is episode 9. We've done 8 episodes so far. This is the 9th episode, so if you haven't watched any of them, please do yourself justice, locate the playlist and go through episode 1 to episode 8. We are in the final stretch of week 2, the week built entirely around the pre-internship period. Now, episode 6 gave you the 3-pillar framework. Episode 7 addressed the mental health of this period. Now, episode 8 was about keeping your clinical skills sharp. Today, we go into the professional pillar in depth, specifically your CV, because everything you build during the pre-internship period only becomes visible to the world if you can document it well. And a well-constructed CV at this stage is not just a piece of paper. It is the difference between being seen and being overlooked. So let's build it properly. I want to tell you about someone I will call Imani as a way of introduction to the lesson of the day. Now, Imani graduated from School of Pharmacy. She was a strong student, diligent in what she does, thorough, well regarded by the supervisors. Now, during her pre-internship period, she actually did a lot, and I'll share what she did. She volunteered at a dispensary twice a week. She completed an online course in pharmacovigilance. She helped a lecturer compile data for a research project that the lecturer was doing. She attended 2 professional forums and networked genuinely. She even started writing health blog, short articles that explain medication use in simple terms. And Imani was building during that particular period. She just didn't know it. She didn't know that she was building, but in actual sense, she was building, because when the time came to put her CV together, she sat down with a blank document and she wrote her name. Again, she wrote her university, and then she wrote her degree, and then she stopped at that particular point, because in her mind, none of the other things counted. That was in her mind. The volunteering that she did, she wasn't being paid for it, so she thought it doesn't count. The online course that she did, it wasn't from a local institution, so she thought it didn't count. The research data that she participated in compiling, she wasn't the named researcher, so she thought it didn't count. The forums she attended, she thought just attending that didn't feel significant enough to mention. The blog she started, that felt almost embarrassing to put on a professional document, so she felt it didn't count. So she left it all off and submitted a CV that told almost nothing of her actual story. Now, Imani was not the problem. The CV she was never taught to write, that was the problem, because every single thing she had done during that pre-internship year was very relevant. Now, every single thing was documentable. Every single thing told a story about who she was as a developing professional, and she left all of it on the floor. Today, we make sure that doesn't happen to you. Now, before we get into the specifics, I want to perhaps reframe. I want to reframe what a CV actually is, because I think most graduates approach it wrongly. They think of a CV as a record of achievements, a list of things they have accomplished, and because they feel they haven't accomplished much yet, they think they have nothing to put on it. That's completely wrong. Now, here is the more useful way to think about your CV. A CV is not a record of achievements. It is not. A CV is a narrative of professional development. It tells the story of who you are becoming as a professional, what you've been exposed to, what you've chosen to invest your time in, what skills and experiences you have been building, and what that trajectory suggests about the kind of professional you are going to be. Now, that reframe really matters, and it matters enormously, because when you are a pre-intern with no formal employment history, of course, you have very few achievements in the traditional sense, but you have a developing narrative, and a well-told developing narrative in a selection process that is filled with underdeveloped identical CVs is extraordinarily powerful. And that is where I want us to get to through this particular episode. Let me walk you through the sections of a strong pre-intern medical CV, and I'll do that in order. And for each section, I want to tell you what to include and what to leave out, and how to frame what you have. I'll begin with section 1. Now, in section 1 is where we have personal information and professional summary. Now, at the top of your CV, you have your name, your contact information, and your location, not your full home address. City and country is sufficient, and professional email address can also be added. You can also add your LinkedIn URL if your profile is complete. And we have a full episode coming on LinkedIn, so stay put, subscribe, hit the bell so that you can get notified once that episode is published. Now, below that, you have a professional summary. This is a 2 to 4 sentences or a sentence section, and this is the section most pre-internship or pre-interns skip entirely, and it is one of the highest value real estate on the entire document, because it is the first thing a reader sees after your name, and it frames everything that follows after that. Your professional summary at this stage should do 3 things. Tell the reader who you are, that is number 1. That is your qualification and your field. It is also number 2, we should tell the reader what you bring, your key strengths and areas of focus. And number 3, to tell them where you're going, your professional direction, and what you are building towards. Now, an example of a week summary, I'll read through an example of a week summary so that you get to relate and see if it's similar to what you have. A week summary sounds like this: recent pharmacy graduate seeking internship opportunities. That is a week summary. That tells the reader almost nothing useful. And an example of a strong summary is something like this: pharmacy graduate with a strong interest in clinical pharmacy and patient education. During my pre-internship period, I have developed experience in community health outreach, pharmacovigilance, and health communication. I'm seeking opportunities to apply and develop my clinical and professional skills in a dynamic healthcare environment. Now, same person, but completely different first impression. That is section 1. Let's look at section 2. And in section 2 is where we have your education. Now list your qualification, institution, and graduation year. If your degree has a specific focus or distinction, include it. If you completed any significant academic projects, dissertations, or research during your training, please include those here with a one-line description. Do not pad this section. A long list of every module you studied is not necessarily impressive. It's summed up, or it's perceived as noise. Keep it clean, keep it current, and keep it relevant. Section 3 is where you list your certifications and short courses. Now, this is where the pre-internship period starts to show up, and it shows up powerfully. Every course you completed during this period belongs at this particular section. Online courses through Coursera, maybe edX, FutureLearn, Allison, all valid. Certificate programs in public health, research methods, medical writing, pharmacovigilance, health informatics, all relevant, can fit in this section. Basic life support certification, which is valid, can fit in this section, and any CPD accredited workshop or seminar can also fit in this section, including first aid training. Now, how to list this? You need to be very careful on how you list this. Name of course has to feature. Platform or institution where you trained has to feature. The date of completion has also to feature. Do not list courses you started and did not finish. Do not list courses that have no relevance to healthcare or professional development. But do not self-select out of listing things simply because they feel informal. And Anchor course is not a certification, but a completed Coursera certificate in epidemiology that absolutely belongs on your CV. Now we have section 4 where you list your research and publications. And this is the section most pre-interns either leave entirely blank or severely undercount. If you are involved in any research during your training or your gap year in any capacity, it belongs here. You don't have to be the principal investigator. No, you don't have to be the principal investigator. Data collection and entry, document it. Literature review contribution, document it. Research assistant role, document it. Paper submission or publication, please document it with full citation. Conference presentation or poster presentation, please document it. Now, if you have genuinely done no research at all, now is an excellent time to approach a lecturer or a researcher at your university and offer your time. Now, most researchers working with limited resources will welcome a diligent graduate who wants to help. And even one research assistantship documented properly changes the profile of your CV significantly. It does so. Section 5 is where you capture your volunteer roles and community work. Now, every volunteer role belongs here. Community health outreach, document it. Health screening camps, document it. Patient education sessions that you conduct, document it. Dispensary volunteering, also have all of that documented. Blood donation drives, have them documented. School health talks, have all of that documented in this particular section. How then do you frame each entry under this section? How do you frame each entry under this section? Now, you have to state the role, then the organization or facility, the dates as well. Then 2 to 3 bullet points describing what you did and what it involved. An example of how not to capture that is this: helped at health camp. That is not how to capture it, but instead you can rephrase it: participated in a community health screening camp serving 300 plus residents, conducting blood pressure assessments and providing patient education on hypertension management. Same activity, completely different documentation. We have section 6 that now captures your leadership and extracurricular involvement. That is in section 6. Now, any leadership role in a student association include it here. Any committee membership, include it here. Any event organization, include it here. Any mentorship or tutoring of junior students, include it here. Any involvement in professional forums, medical associations, or health advocacy work, include it here. Now, these entries tell a selection panel something important about you, that you are not just a passive recipient of your training, that you show up, that you contribute, that you are the kind of person who puts their hand up. And in a clinical environment, that greatly matters. Section 7 is where you list your skills. Now, a concise list of relevant skills divided into two categories. We have clinical skills, which are specific to your training and field, and then we have professional skills, which entail communication, research, data entry, specific software, languages spoken. Now, do not list generic things like Microsoft Word. Don't list that unless you're documenting specific competency in clinical data systems or statistical software or health informatics tools. Keep this section focused and honest. Then we have section 8, where you have your referees. Now, 2 to 3 professional referees will suffice. A clinical supervisor from your training will do good. A research supervisor, if applicable. A professional mentor, if you have one. Not a family friend who happens to be a doctor. No, not that. A person who has directly observed your professional conduct and can speak to it credibly. Always contact your referees before listing them in your CV. Always do that. Not doing this is one of the most common and most damaging CV mistakes that graduates make. And I want to spend a few minutes on something that is separate from the structure of the CV, but that determines whether a well-structured CV actually lands. And that is framing. That is framing. How you describe what you've done really matters, because the same experience framed poorly is forgettable and framed well is compelling. So how you frame your CV really matters. Principle 1, when framing your CV, lead with action verbs. Principle 1, lead with action verbs. Now, every bullet point describing something you did should begin with a strong action verb. And you shouldn't begin it like this: was responsible for patient education. Instead, you can refresh that and put it this way: delivered patient education sessions on medication adherence to outpatients at a busy urban dispensary. Do not write helped with research data. Instead, write compiled and cleaned clinical data for an ongoing research study examining hypertension prevalence in peri-urban Kenya or peri-urban city that is close to you. Now, action verbs: delivered, conducted, developed, coordinated, facilitated, managed, led, implemented, contributed to. Now, these words position you as an active agent in your own story, not a passive bystander. Principle 2, quantify wherever possible. Now, numbers make claims credible. Do not say served many patients. Instead, say provided clinical support to approximately 40 patients per session. Do not say attended conferences. Instead, say attended 3 national health professional forums between 2023 and 2024. Do not say helped with outreach. Instead, say participated in community outreach, serving over 200 residents across 3 counties. So if you genuinely cannot quantify something, do not invent numbers, but think carefully before concluding that something cannot be quantified. Most things actually can be quantified. Principle number 3, relevance over volume. Now, a 2-page CV that is focused and relevant is stronger than a 4-page CV that is padded and unfocused. Now, every line on your CV should be earning its place. If you find yourself listing things just to fill space, those things are making your CV weaker and not stronger. Edit with honesty. Keep what is relevant and cut what is not relevant, because a selection panel reading 20 CVs in an afternoon will remember the one that was clear and precise, not the one that was long and comprehensive. Principle number 4. Tailor for the opportunity. Tailor your CV for the opportunity. Now, a CV is not a static document. A CV is not a static document. It should be adjusted for every significant opportunity you apply for. If you are applying, let's say, for example, for a clinical posting, lead with clinical experience. If you are applying for a research role, lead with research experience. If you're applying for an NGO position, lead with community work and global health relevance. Now, the core document stays the same, but the emphasis and ordering shifts to match what the reader is looking for. That adjustment, which takes 20 minutes, is the difference between a generic application and a targeted one. Now, before episode 10 that will be dropping tomorrow, I want you to do something specific for me, and that is a CV audit. Not a full rewrite, just an honest look at what you currently have as a CV. Now, step 1 of this audit, pull up your current CV or open a blank document if you don't have one yet. Now, look at it with fresh eyes and ask, does this tell the story of a developing professional, or does it tell the story of someone who has been standing still? Step 2, make a list of everything you've done since graduation. Everything that you've done since graduation. Every volunteer shift you took, every course you've done, every forum you've attended, every conversation with a senior professional that you've had, every piece of writing, every research contribution. Write it all down fast without editing. Then go back and identify what is documentable and relevant. You will almost certainly surprise yourself. You will, I guarantee you. Then step 3 is check your language. Now go through every bullet point on your existing CV. Does it start with an action verb? Does it? Does it start with an action verb? Does it quantify where possible? Does it describe what you did specifically rather than vaguely? Now rewrite anything that starts with was responsible for or helped with. Those phrases are passive. And passive language on a CV signals passive thinking. Now, which is the last impression you want to leave between the two? I want to tell you something about my own early CV. It was not good, of course. And I listed my qualifications. I listed my institution. I wrote a few lines about my clinical training, and I submitted it with a confidence that was completely unearned, because I genuinely did not know what I was missing. And I did not know that the way I described my experience was costing me, that the passive language was making me sound like someone things happened to, rather than someone who made things happen, and that the absence of a professional summary was making me invisible in a pile of documents. I didn't know it. It was costing me a lot. So it took feedback, and when I talk about feedback, it's honest and sometimes uncomfortable feedback from people who knew better. It took that level of feedback, and then it took practice as well, writing and rewriting, cutting and refining, learning to tell my professional story clearly and with confidence. And that skill does not come naturally to most people. It is learned skill. You have to learn it. And the earlier you start learning it, the better for you, because your CV will open more doors in your career than almost any other single document. Now, get it right from the word go. And for you to get it right, you need to start right now. Now, that is episode 9 of After Campus series. Before you go, 2 things I would like to ask of you. Only 2 things that I would like to ask of you. First is for you to move to the comment section. And once you're in the comment section, please drop one thing from today that you're going to add, or to add to your CV, that you had previously left off. one thing. I just want one thing, because naming it makes it real. And I want to see what this community has been building. Secondly, is about the next episode, that is episode 10, which closes our week 2 of After Campus series, and it is the episode I have been building toward all week. We are talking about the 20 most productive things you can do during your pre-internship year. Not a vague list of suggestions, but a specific, categorized, actionable set of moves, broken down by what they build for you clinically, professionally, and personally. Now, everything we have talked about this week comes together in that episode 10. Do not miss it. I will see you in that particular episode. This is Dr. Libea Bethwell, and this is After Campus series. See you.